presentation. Today's objective and this week's homework, yes, there's homework this week, is we're going to learn the presentation. We're going to do our coaching model. We're going to tell you what to do, the consumer folder. We're going to show you, Brielle Hoffman's going to show you the presentation. And then you're going to go out there in the marketplace, and we're going to let you do it a minimum of 5 times, and then next week we're going to do the Grow Me. So we're doing kind of what we do. This is rolling over from last week. We talked about the coaching model, tell me, show me, let me, grow me. So we're going to do a group team coaching situation specifically on the presentation. And people say, well, you know, the presentation, I really want to learn more about how to contact and invite and all these other things. I'm going to show you the money behind the presentation. Here's a $100,000 producer. If somebody does 20 presentations a month, that is 1 presentation a day, or 5 on the weekends if you have a full-time job. So let's say I have a full-time job, but I want to build an income, a business, and I do 5 presentations every Saturday. That's the way it is. That's what I need to do to get out of my present job. That's my commitment. Either I do 1 every night of the week, 5 on Sunday, or either 1 every night of the week, 5 during the week, and 5 on Saturday. On the weekend, that would be 10 a week, okay? But this is just calling for 20 presentations a month, 1 a day, or 5 every weekend, or 10, which 50% close, that's 10 sales a month. Now, Brielle is going to show you, and I think she basically almost closes 100% within 2 weeks, so they don't always say yes on the day of the presentation. She's going to go through some of these things, but within 2 weeks, she has a 100% close almost. These numbers I'm showing you in front, right here on the screen, are 20 presentations a month, you and 5 people, coaching 5 new reps to do the same every month. 50% close. I'm not giving you a 75 or a 100% close. I'm saying 50% of the presentations say yes to our service, and literally everybody can do 1 presentation a day. And if you can't do that because you're working full-time, you can do 5 every weekend. So this is totally legit. This is completely doable. This is simple. It works, and everyone on the phone can do this. I think you've underestimated the power of the presentation. So we're going to go right to the roots of success, and I like to say build your base pay on the consumer presentation sales. That's what you know you can control. You are in control of going to someone's office or home or meeting them. Whether or not you invite them and they don't show up, you're not in control of that. But when you make an appointment to go see someone, you know they're going to hear the presentation. If you send them a link, you don't know if they're going to look at the link. So this is the highest form of base pay you could have. And then as you build a team, think of that as your retirement income. So these are the habits we want to work on: 20 presentations a month, 10 sales, which equal 10 sales a month, and teaching 5 people to do the same. All right. Let's go over to Brielle now. Brielle is going to do a live presentation, but here's a few tips on how she prepares for success.
Well, good morning, everyone. Happy Valentine's Day. Hopefully you guys have some special plans for today. All of you husbands hopefully have roses for your beautiful wife or girlfriend. Anyway, yeah, thank you so much for being on the call this morning. This is very important, and I am excited to be able to share with you just kind of my little bit of wisdom. Definitely, it's amazing to see how you grow in the consumer folder presentation over time. And you can practice to yourself all day, every day, but until you're out doing the consumer folder presentation, you're not going to truly master it. And by no means am I saying that I'm a master. I have a long way to go. Still to this day, I hear my mom or my dad do a presentation, and I'm like, man, one day I'll be as good as them. So anyway, but it's a lot of fun. So a couple of things that I think about before I go into a consumer folder presentation is I think about my purpose, you know, and do you know your purpose? Before you do any presentation, any meeting in your Legal Shield business, do you know your purpose? And when I say that, you know, I have to go into the presentation seeing, believing, and then, of course, achieving. So knowing my end goal, having the end in mind. And the end in mind means simply always protecting the family. You know, my goal is to protect the families in the Knoxville area. There is roughly 700,000 in Knoxville and surrounding areas. That's a lot of people that need to be exposed to our service so they can truly worry less and live more. I think about just a quick story. There's someone on Facebook here in Knoxville who's a real estate agent that posted on Facebook something along the lines of, thank you so much to that person in Chicago who filed my taxes. If you don't mind, I would like my identity back. So there's this guy who had his identity stolen. Someone filed his taxes on his behalf, and now so I called him and I'm working with them, but the IRS and the FBI have no idea what to tell him. And I take responsibility for that because he did not meet me. I did not meet him. Therefore, he does not have our service. So that's your purpose. Your purpose is to educate and to serve families and make a difference. Second thing is understand their win. What's in it for them? You know, what is in it for an individual that you meet with? And so communicating that clearly is super important. And when I say that, understanding their win, you have to know the individuals you're speaking to. It would be not wise of us to just go out there and do the exact same presentation to every single person that we ever met, whether they were a business owner, a real estate agent, a mortgage broker, an HR director. You know, we have to know our audience, know what's in it for them. And the last thing is, what is the next step? You know, this is something I've learned over time, and it'll make your business so much more fun when you communicate a clear next step, as opposed to, all right, well, great meeting with you today. You know, I guess we'll talk sometime soon. Does that sound good? No. What is the clear next step? Mr. So-and-so, where do you think we should go from here? Can I follow up with you tomorrow at 5 o'clock? Great. I'll give you a call then. We'll discuss kind of the next step. I appreciate your time today. So having a clear next step, knowing where you're going is critical. So for today, I'm going to be doing kind of an example presentation to my mom, who is just someone I met out just for, she owns European Sun Spas. She's married with 3 kids, which is true, obviously. But she's someone that let's just pretend that I met out networking. Like has been mentioned before, I do a lot of networking. And so I just met her out and about, and I just happened to mention what I do. You know, I learned about what she did, but I mentioned what I did as well. And she said, oh, you know, let's get together. And yeah, it's great. So I set up an appointment. We're at a local Starbucks, just kind of getting coffee, having a meeting. So let's kind of get started on that.
All right, I'm going to just add one thing before you start your presentations. Write this down. This is what Pele, the top soccer player in the world, does before a soccer game. And so on the know your purpose, see, believe, and achieve part, write down this visual exercise. What he does before every game, he walks into the locker room, grabs 2 towels, walks over to a corner of the locker room with a spot that's by himself, lays down 1 towel to lay his head on and another towel over his eyes. He goes through a 30-minute process, of which it doesn't have to be 30 minutes with you, this can be 3 minutes with you, but before you start this presentation, knock on that door, walk out of your car, into the Panera, whatever, this is a process you need to go through in your own mind. So he puts the towel over his eyes. The first thing he sees in his mind's eye is himself playing soccer as a kid. He's having fun. It is not about winning. It's not about losing. It's about having fun. So he visualizes himself laughing and his friends, and he's on the a playground, and they're kicking the ball around, and it's just fun. He's not a grown-up. He's not being paid to play soccer. He is having fun. So he visualizes fun. So he gets in that spirit, that kind of attitude of fun. Secondly, the second visual he's going to go through is he visualizes every positive and successful thing he has ever done in his entire soccer career. So in our case, we'd see ourselves writing that application. You'd see that best enrollment you've ever had where 80% of the employees participated. You would see that family saying, I can't believe that I didn't hear about this service earlier. This is the greatest thing. You would replay that phone call that came back to you with the person in tears saying, thank you so much. You would go through every positive, successful experience you've had in your career. That's the second phase. The third phase is now you're going to see the person you're going to be speaking to. And Pele would see the team he's going to play. He would picture in his mind's eye the actual defenders. He would see himself moving past them, through them, scoring, in spite of them. Okay, he would see victory, he would see accomplishment, he would see the win. And so he would picture himself in front of those defenders, what he would be doing, what he would be saying. And in this case, we would say, okay, if they say, oh, it's too much money, or I don't have time, or my this or that, whatever it is that they could say, you're seeing yourself answering that very calmly, very passionately, without pushing or selling. So you would go through these 3 steps, having fun. Think about when you're having the most fun in this business. Secondly, your highest moments of success. And thirdly, you're actually seeing yourself in front of the presentation. And what going through possible defenses or proactive moves to bring the win, which is the best thing for the client, so that they are protected, a business is protected, or the company chooses to have a group enrollment. So now we're going to go into the presentation and turn it back to Brielle.
Ms. Hoffman, I just want to say thank you so much for your time today. It was so great meeting you at the Chamber recently. Did you recently join the Chamber, or how long have you been a member there?
Just 6 months.
It's a great organization, isn't it?
Yeah.
I truly love it, and being an ambassador for the Chamber has been a blast. Matter of fact, you should maybe consider that. I know you're new in the Knoxville area, kind of building your business here, but it's a great opportunity. So tell me briefly a little bit more about how long you've owned your chain of painting spas.
I've owned them for a year so far. I have about 20 employees. I'm married and I have three girls.
Awesome. So your husband's very blessed. Call the lady house.
Yes.
That's awesome. Well, I appreciate your time today, and once again, just great to meet you. And what I want to do for you just real quick and real simply is just going to show you what we're doing with a lot of families in the Knoxville area. We provide a service that I believe is going to be of great value to you, and just wanted to educate you on that if that's cool with you.
Yeah.
Our goal is very simple, Ms. Hoffman. It's to help you truly worry less and live more, providing legal protection for everyone, everywhere, no matter how traumatic or trivial the situation. And I want you to notice 2 key words there real quick, traumatic and trivial. You know, whether it's a $10 overcharge or a $20,000 lawsuit, we help with the small, the big, and everything in between. Imagine for a second with me getting top-rated legal advice on any matter without worrying about the high hourly costs. You can protect you and your family, save money and time, and enjoy peace of mind for pennies a day. And Ms. Hoffman, I don't know about you, but I come across a lot of families these days that want to do those exact same 3 things. I mean, who doesn't want to save money and time these days? And you are a business owner. You are a very educated, individual, high-level entrepreneur. So you understand the value of a powerful, time-tested attorney. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay. And what I want you to know real quick is our attorneys we have a provider network of 6,900 attorneys nationwide. And our attorneys are AV rated, which is the highest rating that you can receive as a law firm or an attorney. A minimum of 19 years experience, and working with us for a minimum of 13 years. So Ms. Hoffman, what I simply want you to know is that you have the best of the best on your side. It's not someone who just passed the bar or maybe was at the bar last night. Truly the best of the best. So let me ask you a few questions real quick. Have you ever thought about writing or revising a will for you and your family?
Absolutely.
Yep. And most people have that response. Do you currently have one in place, or?
No.
Okay. And you know what I find these days is that 7 out of 10 Americans don't have a will in place. And so our goal is to empower your family with a will. I think you understand the importance of that, having 3 kids in a business. Next question is kind of a silly question, but have you ever been treated unfairly before?
Oh, yeah.
Like I said, a silly question. And if you haven't, tell me your magic trick, because either we have or we will be at some point. Next question is, have you ever signed a contract or document?
Yes.
Okay. You own a business. You probably own a home, own cars.
Landlord, cars, yeah. Mortgage, yeah.
Absolutely. And have you ever wondered before, what am I really signing to? Am I really agreeing to?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Okay. Me too. I remember a time I lived in an apartment, and I thought to myself, man, I'm signing this thing quick, but what am I signing? Last but not least, have you ever been overbilled for a service before?
Yes.
Okay. A lot of times I say if you have Sprint, then you probably have. A lot of people who've had Sprint as a telecom company have in the past, and hopefully you don't or haven't had that experience, but we certainly have. So go ahead and flip to the next page real quick. I'm going to tell you about our legal services plan. Like I said, our goal is to help you worry less and live more, and we do that by providing you this protection. The first area of coverage is called preventive law, providing you unlimited telephone consultation on an unlimited number of issues. Ms. Hoffman, imagine being able to pick up the phone and talk to a top-rated attorney, ask them any questions, any time of the day and not receive a bill in the mail. Would that help you and your family make better decisions?
Yeah.
Okay, especially pertaining to your business. You know, I know that there's a lot of big decisions you make regarding your business, and it's helpful to have the best on your side. And once again, you know, law is as specialized as medicine, so it's important to talk to a real estate attorney about a real estate issue if that's what your need is. And next thing is letters and phone calls on your behalf if you're treated unfairly. You know, think about a time where you've been treated unfairly. You don't have to tell me details, but can you think of one?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Would it have been helpful for, in that situation, to have a letter written on your behalf explaining your consumer rights with 50 names of attorneys at the top? Do you think that that issue could have been resolved faster with that kind of protection help?
So they will write a letter if I'm having a problem with my landlord?
Absolutely. Let me give you an example. We were overbilled by Sprint for quite a bit of money. And, you know, a lot of times with a big telecom company or a big company, you know, we have simply no recourse. And you don't have the time to sit on the phone with a big company and try to get hold of a decision maker. And so what we just asked is that you simply call your provider law firm, explain the situation. And in this situation, we had a letter written to Sprint's legal department. And within just a few days, that money was credited back to our account. Another situation, I have a good friend in the area that's a real estate agent, and he had a tenant that wasn't paying on time. And so he called his provider law firm through his membership, and with one simple letter to that tenant, they were paying on time pretty quickly.
Wow. I've wasted so much time on the phone arguing with these companies.
Well, the cool thing is you don't have to waste any time any longer. Next thing real quick is legal contract and document review, up to 10 pages each in length. And what I tell our members is sometimes it's just one simple question. It might be one sentence that you're wondering, well, what does that really mean? And I tell our members, why not fax them the whole document? You have 10 pages that you can have reviewed. And so from this point forward, don't ever sign anything or before having your attorney review it for you first, which is now 15 pages, by the way. And next thing is will preparation and annual updates, including living will, healthcare power of attorney, medical directive. Like we mentioned earlier, that's important to have in place. You know, the last thing you want is the state of Tennessee having a say in what happens to your loved ones if something happens to you. Would you agree?
Yeah.
And so now, included in our membership, you can have your will done, your living will, and that covers you and your spouse. Do you think that's pretty empowering?
Well, I called on a will, and it was like $1,000. Is yours $1,000?
Oh, man, that's included in our membership. So it's like I'm handing you today about $1,500 of value immediately. Pretty cool return on investment, wouldn't you say?
I'd say so.
And last but not least is access to legal forms online. And Ms. Hoffman, you know, what I like to do is just stop here and based off of those few things I just said, unlimited telephone consultation on an unlimited number of issues, letters and phone calls on your behalf if you're ever treated unfairly, legal contract and document review, will preparation and annual updates including living will. Can you see why just for $1.19 a day so many families in America are protecting their family with our service?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, yeah, me too. And that's typically the response. And the cool thing that you'll find right here is that that only covers 20% of our plan. There's a whole lot more to cover. So next thing real quick is motor vehicle representation. And just in a nutshell, our goal is not to fix tickets. Our goal is to keep points off of your record. And this protection is nationwide. Tell me real quick, are your girls teenagers?
No, they're babies.
Okay, well maybe in the future.
But I have a husband.
Okay.
He has 33 points on it. Yeah, our insurance is so bad. Yeah, you have no
well, you will see great value in the service. So motor vehicle representation, our goal is not to fix tickets, but to keep points off of your record. So we provide this protection nationwide. So if ever you get some sort of moving traffic violation or speeding ticket, we just ask that you just fax it in, call your provider law firm, fax in the ticket, and they'll have an attorney represent you in court. And like I said, the goal is to keep points off of your record, which would have saved you a lot of time and a lot of money, or your husband for that matter.
Absolutely.
Trial defense, the next thing is defense of civil actions, pre-trial and trial assistance. Coverage increases each year for the first 5 years. And Ms. Hoffman, this is just important for you to know. If ever there was a civil suit brought against you or your family for some reason, our goal is to provide you pre-trial and trial hours so that you have the peace of mind knowing that if something happened, you have the protection that you deserve. You have 60 hours your first year, and that doubles each year for the first 5 years. And like I said, that includes pre-trial. You know, let's say dog gets out of the fence, bites the neighbor wants to sue you. You know, I hope it never happens, but unfortunately we live in a sue-happy country these days. Would you agree with that? You know, people think that other than winning the lottery, the next way to get rich quick is to sue someone. And so it's just, like I said, the peace of mind. And over a 5-year period of time, it's roughly 300 hours, which is equivalent to about $50,000 belonging to you in legal hours. What I call that is peace of mind, empowerment, and protection. The next thing is IRS audit services, consultation, representation at the audit, and the trial. Up to 50 hours of a tax attorney's time is ever audited by the IRS. Have you ever known someone who's been audited or possibly ever received an audit?
I have.
Okay. And so you would probably agree that it's not the most fun process to go through. So it's important to have the experts on your side. And your CPA is great, but why not have a tax attorney who knows tax law? It's pretty empowering. 24/7 access. You know, this is something that not even the wealthy have. 24/7 access for covered emergency situations. You know, I'm a young individual who, you know, doesn't get in a whole lot of legal matters, but if I was in a situation where I was being hassled by a cop, you know, you really have two rights, the right to remain silent or the right to an attorney. And now you have the empowerment of 6,900 attorneys in your back pocket. If ever there is an emergency, a legal situation in which it was an emergency, you have that access. And last but not least is 25% preferred member discount. You might be thinking, you know, right now, wow, I wish I had this 10 years ago. You know, I would have loved to have tackled this situation 10 years ago. Well, now you can at a 25% preferred member discount. You know, our goal is to help individuals like you go ahead and have the access you need and take care of the situations that you've dealt with in the past or even possibly in the future, those big ticket items at a 25% preferred member discount, as well as all of our other benefits. Does that sound pretty good so far?
Yes.
Awesome. All right, well, next thing, and once again, you know, that was only just a portion of our membership. For the same low monthly cost, we provide identity theft protection. Did you know that identity theft is the fastest growing crime in America today?
No.
Okay, well, it's important for you to know, especially pertaining to your young girls. Identity theft happens every 3 seconds. The question is, are you protected? You probably shop at Target.
Yes.
So you probably saw what happened with Target. It's pretty crazy to think that in about a 2 to 3 week span of time, about 110 million people were affected, which is about 1/3 of America. And it was actually a $5.36 billion payday for those hackers, which makes me pretty upset because that's my money and that's my information that's being compromised.
Yeah.
And so with our service, what we do is we put you under the protection of 2,200 licensed fraud investigators through a company called Kroll Advisory Solutions, the world's leader in risk mitigation. It's important for you to know that we specialize in the restoration factor, and it's important for you to know that you have the best on your side. We're the only company in North America that provides the legal component. We're the only company in North America that has exclusive rights to this identity theft protection. And just for you to know about Kroll real quick, we're in 8 different countries. We employ 3,800 employees, 2,200 of which are licensed fraud investigators. They do all the Homeland Security background checks. They've been in business for 40 years. They helped with Enron restructuring. They're the same company that was hired to track down Saddam Hussein's financial networks, and the FBI, CIA, and the NSA could not find it. So what is important for you to know is, just like with the attorneys, you have the best of the best on your side to protect you and your family.
Wow.
Most people, Ms. Hoffman, simply think it's just financial. You're probably wise enough to know that it's not just financial identity theft that's happening these days. Matter of fact, that's only 17%. Let me tell you about the remainder, 83%. Driver's license, Social Security, medical, and character criminals. I know your girls are, you know, young, but I imagine you might not be planning to have any more kids. But imagine getting a bill in the mail for having a baby in Miami when you haven't been to Miami or haven't had a kid in the last couple of years. You know, unfortunately, crazy to think about, but those are the kind of things that are happening these days. Or imagine, you know, like I had just had someone here in Knoxville who's a real estate agent. Someone filed his taxes for him. They had stolen a Social Security number, and so now that tax refund check is going to the wrong person. So different things like that gives you an example of the kind of stuff that's happening these days. So what our service does for you is we exclusively provide you and your spouse with detection and restoration, providing you a credit reporting consultation, personal credit score analysis, and continuous credit monitoring. Would you believe that your credit report, your credit score, is a powerful financial asset?
Yes.
Okay, I would agree as well. And so it's important to know, you know, what that is and have, you know, that information, as well as have access to top credit specialists in America today. And last but not least, this is the most important factor, dedicated licensed investigators to perform comprehensive identity theft restoration. Ms. Hoffman, did you know that it typically takes an average of 200 to 600 hours for someone to try to restore their identity on their own?
No, I had no idea.
Can you imagine taking 15 40-hour work weeks away from your European tanning spas to try to restore your name?
I have no time left right now.
Yeah,
Three
exactly.
kids in business. Are you kidding?
You have your hands full. And so that's why the experts on your side, having that for you and for your family, is important. And so what we're dedicated to doing is taking the time and taking the resources to restore your name to where it was before the breach occurred, as long as it takes, so you can keep on living life on your own while we restore your name. So Ms. Hoffman, at this point, do you have any questions? Is there anything that you wanted to ask specifically regarding our membership?
Yeah, how much is it?
Yeah, great question. And I think that most people find that it makes sense. The service makes sense, and for as low as $35.95 a month, protecting you and your whole family, this is something that you'd rather have and not need than need and not have. And this is kind of an example that I give individuals. With your car insurance, you don't get in a wreck in the next 6 to 12 months. You're not going to cancel your car insurance, correct?
Right.
Right. And the same is with this service. But the cool thing about it is our goal is to prevent the bad things from happening to you. It's like a now benefit. Today, by getting your family protected, you're empowered with a will that's equivalent to about $500 to $1,500 in value. And so, Ms. Hoffman, is there any reason that you would see that we would not protect your family today?
Nope. I need this now.
All right. That's great. Well, if you will just fill out this simple paperwork with me, we'll get you protected right away. And matter of fact, you're going to have your will questionnaire. I'm going to give you one today, but you'll have your membership kit in the mail in less than 2 weeks. So the cool thing is, Ms. Hoffman, you're empowered today.
And what are these?
Let me tell you just a couple. This is just an example of how individuals in the U.S. today use our service. And this is cool for you to bring home to your husband and show him, hey, we were just empowered with this service, and here's examples of how we, use the service. For instance, I've been overcharged $947 on my cell phone bill, but received a full credit after an attorney sent a letter on my behalf. That's the story I mentioned earlier. That was actually us. Or I saved over $5,000 when a contractor abandoned work on my rental home. Different things like that. And I do believe that you have a condo. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So in a situation like that, when a contractor were to abandon work being done on your condo or something,
yeah,
you have representation, you have help.
Been there.
Pretty empowering. In 40 years and 20 million times, we protected our clients. So I'm thankful today that we get to protect your rights, your freedom, and your future.
That sounds good. All right, everyone. Anything else? What if they say no? Tell me what. Let's say, no, I don't really think this is good for me. I want to share it with my husband.
So when individuals say, and I get that actually quite a bit. That's why sometimes it's a 2-week process before I close a sale. For instance, I just closed the sale yesterday, and I met with this guy a week and a half ago. And I just say, if they say, I always give them the opportunity to get enrolled immediately, get protected immediately. And if they say, well, I want to think about it, I always say, okay, great, I totally understand that. Matter of fact, I love when spouses are in agreement on the service. I would love to speak with your husband and educate him on the service as well. Or if you don't mind, can I follow up with you by 5 p.m. tomorrow? Will you have a chance to speak with him before then? And they'll either say yes or no, or will you give me through the rest of the weekend? Okay, great, absolutely, through the rest of the weekend. I will call you Monday around 10 o'clock. Will you be available then? So it's a clear next step. It's not like, okay, well, I'll just give you a shout sometime next week, and where you end up missing them, and then you're playing phone tag, and then you're playing catch up, and then it's 4 weeks later, and then all of a sudden they're just not as interested, or so on and so forth. So that's what I say when you have a clear next step, a clear objective. And another thing is when I meet with people, like for instance, Ms. Hoffman, she said that she has 20 employees. Well, I typically, by the end of the presentation, before I, obviously get the family protected, I get the family protected first, but then I say, hey, by the way, did you know that you can offer this as a voluntary benefit for your employees? Can you imagine how excited that they would be to get empowered with a will and this type of protection? Here's the process. And so in the presentation, you're always thinking about the things that they say. You're listening for different connections that they have. And that's why building rapport in the beginning, I didn't spend a whole lot of time on that, but when I meet with people, I spend 10, 15 minutes in the beginning getting to know them, their family, their goals, their business, like all of that, so I can best present to them and then hear about the best clear next steps for them. So
you relate back to them. You get to know me and all, like my husband's driving issues with our insurance. You would really hone in on that.
Yeah, like for instance,
trouble with my landlord in my business, or home construction that went really bad. and they did bad work and they just left us with a terrible job, and yet they're taking us to collections to pay them, you would help.
Yes.
All those things.
For instance, I met with a young guy yesterday who is in his late 20s, and when I got to the moving traffic violation representation, I said, "You're probably going to love this part." And he started smiling before I even talked about it. He was like, "Oh, yeah." So I could just, because I knew he was a younger guy, he was, in a fraternity at one point, I just kind of knew that would be a powerful portion of the service for him.
So the statement, "you're going to love this part," or you're setting yourself up for a successful presentation. You're always saying positive words inside of your presentation.
Yeah, and I wrote a couple things down for all of you out there. I try to go into every presentation with not a salesy focus, but a consultant mindset. Like, you are their consultant, just like someone would consult them on their finances or their insurances, different things like that. I don't want to come across as a pushy salesperson, but to really just educate them, consult them on protection that they deserve to have, need to have, are truly asking for, just don't really fully know how much they need it. And so another thing real quick is being confident, walking into every presentation confident, knowing that you have the ability to really truly help them worry less and live more. And my goal, and sometimes I'll even say this depending on how the conversation is going, I sometimes say my goal is not to decide for you if this protection is for you, but to educate you on why so many families these days are adding our service to their protection, to protect their family with, because it truly is powerful. Ultimately, though, Ms. Hoffman, it's up to you. It's your money. It's your investment, and I want you to fully believe in the investment that you're making in this service. And so, but being confident, taking a position of authority is important because this is a powerful thing that we do.
So I'd say, Brielle, you're focusing on helping them K-N-O-W. You're not focusing on that they might say N-O.
Yeah.
So you're helping them. Your focus is to help them know, not that they'll say no.
Absolutely. And I kind of got a little discouraged yesterday because I had made a couple phone calls with, referrals and stuff like that, and people oftentimes think they K-N-O-W. And a cool story is Jill Boyd here in the Knoxville area. She protected a family pretty recently, and she protected a family after someone, this family she protected, this mom, had been in a networking group with a Legal Shield person for like over a year and a half. And for a year and a half, still had no idea what we do or what our membership does. And so Jill sat down and did a consumer folder presentation, and she said, "Oh my gosh." She said, "Finally, I understand what you guys do." She signed up. She's a member, hopefully coming on as a broker. So really cool. It's important to educate because most people just don't simply K-N-O-W.
That's my next question to you, Brielle. When you go out to the marketplace, explain the simple approach to a small business, a broker, an employee benefits, an HR director, a family, an individual with the consumer folder.
I use the consumer folder for everything because whether you're talking to a business owner, want to protect his business and his employees, your goal is to ultimately protect the business owner's family too. And the thing is, you want him to buy into the service because if he buys into it, if he believes in it, well, he's going to be your number one advocate for that service for his employees. For instance, another quick example. I went to a networking. We were going to work with a construction company to enroll these services as a voluntary benefit. Well, it didn't turn out as great as we thought, and because what happened was there wasn't as much. We were working with one of their employees, the HR person, not the company owner. So the company owner didn't really have a whole lot of buy-in because he didn't fully know the power of it for his employees. Well, a few months later, so we ended up not doing enrollment. A few months later, I go to a networking group where he's the president of this networking group. One of the people in the group does a presentation on, he's one of our brokers here, he does a presentation on identity theft protection, and basically says, hey, this is so valuable, this is so powerful for you all to know and understand. And I was there visiting the group, and so I did my 60-second, and I talked about identity theft. And so anyway, I called this company owner of this construction company afterward, and I just said, hey, John, you know, it was great seeing you this morning. I just want to follow up with you based off of what you heard this morning. I think that after this presentation this morning, you would agree that identity theft protection is important for your employees. And he was like, yeah, absolutely. And so now he's like, we got to get you guys in right away. So that just shows you the power of a company owner having buy-in. And that's why them having a consumer folder presentation, understanding what their employees get is important. So every presentation I do, I always have the consumer folder with me.
Now, those are the 4 divisions, but let's talk about recruiting. Is this something that you use when you're recruiting?
Yes, absolutely. And my goal, and I think that you all would say this out there too, is that you want to recruit a satisfied customer. And so it's really interesting to me when I do a consumer folder presentation, when an individual can see value in it for themselves, they see value in it for other people. And so I've actually had 2 new team members, phenomenal leaders here in the Knoxville market, Rob Sword and then Leslie Smith and Randy Swain, great leaders, and that's how they saw value in the service for themselves too, and they asked, is there a way that we can make this a business because we see value in it for other people? And so I don't lead with the opportunity. I don't meet with someone and say, hey, you want to make a lot of money? I say, hey, here's a valuable service that I believe will make a difference for your family, so on and so forth.
And what about referrals? How do you move into referrals?
My goal, and I hope that all of you have that sheet that talks about the number of businesses in your area, the number of families in your area, the number of teenage drivers, and households in the area, because that kind of keeps you going. At the end of the presentation, I typically say, thank you so much for your time. And if you don't mind, I want to just ask you one more quick question. My goal is very simple. My goal is to be the legal shield person in the Knoxville area and to protect as many families as possible. And Ms. Hoffman, I know that you see value in the service. And if you see value in it for you and your family, I think you'd see value in it for your friends as well. Off the top of your mind, can you think of some friends and family of yours that you wouldn't mind referring me to? I'd love to educate them on these services as well. And so I just simply go into the referrals and I ask for them and I kind of give them a second. I kind of look down at the paper, pull the paper out, and just assume that they're going to start kind of jotting off some names. And sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. So it kind of just depends. But always asking for referrals based off of your mission is absolutely critical.
All right. We'll pass it back to you, John, and open it up for questions.
All right. Great job, and just a couple of things I think everybody would agree just listening in. You could hear through the phone. Brielle was engaging. Her energy was strong. You could hear laughter. She talked about fun. You could hear her leading. Leading the prospect in the direction that she wanted the prospect to go. Confident, a little bit of boldness. And so. Give thought to that, and a lot of times in the tell me, the show me, and the let me, the grow me, a lot of times what I would encourage too is, tape, while you're practicing your presentation, tape it so that you can hear, the intonation in your voice. You can hear the energy in your voice. That little plan, do, review, that little refining and advancing goes a long, long ways when it comes to an understanding of how you look, how you sound, and where that energy level is. So with that, great job, Brielle. Great job, Darcy. And let's see. If you'll put,
John, I want one more thing before we go. Brielle, the company interviewed Brielle, and one of the questions they interviewed when she was flown down to Dallas, which I think it's important to ask, they said to her, are you successful because you have successful parents? And a lot of people will say, "God, Brielle is just successful because of her parents." But I love the answer about her success is really, well, just give the answer you gave to Legal Shield.
It was a very interesting question. And my response was the same exact training and coaching that my parents have given me. They've given all of you out there, and that's how they coach and develop their team. And so I've gotten no different training or development. It comes down to my daily choices, my daily habits, the habits workbook. I mean, my parents don't hold my hand. They don't say, hey, have you done your presentations today? They're not on my back. They're not babysitting me. But I think back to April, my first month, when I was doing, my presentations, and I did probably 5, hoping all 5 of those would show up or turn out to be sales. I did what was called a plan, do, review. And so that plan, do, review set me up for the success I'm experiencing today, because after every single presentation is when they would evaluate it with me. They would, okay, did you did you think about this? Did you ask for referrals? Did you say this? And I said, no, oh my gosh. And so I would get better every time. And my PDA is kind of still the backbone of my business, and hopefully yours out there too, that personal daily achievement, knowing the amount of presentations that you have, booked, the amount of people you're seeing on a weekly basis, because that's going to lead to your end goal, that $100,000 ring or the amount of families you want to protect, so on and so forth. So all that to say, my parents haven't handheld me. They've empowered me, hopefully like we're empowering you out there to go and make a difference that you're called to make with the gifts and the abilities that God has given you.
So everyone has to start somewhere, and it was very difficult for her to start. She did not like it. She did not like the process of growing and getting uncomfortable, but now she's created a new normal, and that's the key. So back to you, John.
All right. Fantastic. And let's see, if you'll raise your hand, that way we'll come out and call on you if you have a question, an aha moment, anything that you'd like to comment or move forward on. Let's go out to Brenda Lafredo real quick, and we'll hear from one of our Millionaire Club members on any quick thoughts or comments that she might have. Brenda?
Thank you, Mr. Hoffman, and great job, Brielle. I just wanted to say to everyone that when we were introduced to this process and started using it, it really raised my closing ratio tremendously. And I even started using it for everything, guys. I use it even for my employee benefit enrollments. And when I did that, my enrollments went up to about 85%. I think it's great because it does 2 things. It's very visual for the customer, and it allows you to have that interaction that Brielle and Darcy demonstrated this much, which I think is so important. It helps you, people not be sold by you, but sort of sell themselves when they start to realize where they could use it and how they felt when they were mistreated and so forth. And so it is a great tool. I even use this tool when I see small business owners, individuals, employee benefit groups, decision makers, brokers. It doesn't matter. I use it for everything. So I just encourage everyone to put your hands on it and put it to work, because it really works. Back to you,
Brenda, can I just say something? Thank you so much. You said something important. Up your visual. It's visual, and you use it as a multi-divisional tool. It doesn't matter where you're at. You can grab the consumer folder with a broker, with a recruit, with everything, and be successful in translating our story. But if you could write this down, our goal is to present so that they want to buy. We don't sell for them to buy. We present. And Brenda, you just said it. It is so compelling that by the end of it, it leads them to want to get the service. So you never have to push or sell. You literally educate and present. And the tool does the work. Your passion does the work, but you're not selling. Do not try to sell.
And if we can keep the background noise down, great. And I tell you what an exciting call, man. These calls are so smoking hot, it's unbelievable. Also, just jot this down. I think a lot of people don't realize what an amazing tool that the membership is. And they think of a sizzle call or a CD, or they think of an event as a Sunday conference call, a 3-way as a possible tool. To me, the greatest tool we've got is this value proposition we're delivering to families, businesses, employee benefits, insurance brokers throughout North America. And Brenda, great job. Let's go, and we certainly, Brenda, look forward to seeing you and the team out there. Let's go to, in Phoenix here shortly, but let's go to Brandon Dawson. Real quick, Brandon, fire away, sir.
Hello. Good morning, Mr. Hoffman. Can you hear me?
Sure can, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for taking the time to invest in us and in the team. I know you do that from your heart. Quick question. After you do the consumer presentation, let's say if you initially approached the person whom you met at a networking event, and you shared the family plan, and this seems more directed, so it can be directed towards small businesses and towards groups, but you're really speaking with them as an individual and having them consider it's of value to their family. At what point at the end of the presentation, if they are a business owner, will you introduce the small business plan, and do you set up a second appointment to give the details of the small business plan to them if they don't have the time?
Well, I mean, you've got to gauge in your spirit and your gut what the situation looks like. But if I'm talking about the family plan and I find out that the individual is a business owner, I'm definitely going to find a way to segue, or I'm going to find a way to move over to how we are providing services to 50,000 companies, you know, out there, small business owners. I'm going to find a way to segue. If I've got time to highlight a few things right there, I'll do it. If it requires another appointment, I'll do it. If it requires me forwarding him 4 or 5 bullet points on the business plan and the benefits that can be available to him for $2.50 a day, $75 a month, I'll do it. Whatever it takes, I'm going to find a way to get the benefits to him, because we want to see him last 5, 10, 15, 20 years. We want to see him compete against his competition that's been in business longer, and we want to see him have that protection. So absolutely.
Hey, Brandon, real quick.
Thank you.
Brandon, this is Brielle.
Hey.
Hey, part of the planning for success is understanding their win. And so my goal, so when I meet somebody at a networking event and I get their business card, I'm going to do research on their company. So I'm going to pull up their website. I'm going to look at if they have a team of people. You know, you can find out a lot about the company before your meeting. So you go in, like you go into that meeting with a business plan proposal, with a consumer folder, with a voluntary benefit information. So you're equipped. If the conversation leads there, you know, actually you're the leader, so you lead it there based off of what you know about the individual. And so that's why it's important that you don't just treat every person the same when it comes to the consumer folder presentation. You use it all the time, but you have to know your audience before you go into the presentation so you can best equip them with the resources that we have available to empower them as a business owner, as an employer, as you know, a family. You know, that's critical. So do your research on the front end to know your audience to best equip them.
And you also remember, Brielle, okay, thanks, Brandon. You also remember Brielle's first question to Darcy. So tell me a little bit more about your business. You know, how long have you been in business? She was engaging. Brielle was asking questions and then delivering benefits around, you know, the interests of the party she's talking to. Let's go out to the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Another 6-figure ring earner, great leader, dear friend, Deb Rotten. Deb, go ahead.
Good morning. I just want to thank you, Brielle. You were just wonderful, and you can hear the passion, and that passion comes from really believing that this product is going to change people's lives, and it's true. I love what you said, John, about all the tools. The best tool we have is the product, and if we understand that we've got to change people's lives, that we can change people's lives with this product, they'll hear that and believe it. And I thank you so much for Darcy for teaching us what Pele did, and you know, the visualization before we go in, because I think we live in such a world where even though all of us are into personal development, we're just always surrounded by all of the to-dos and all of the negative stuff. And so just to take a moment and close our eyes and picture fun in Legal Shield, because we have a lot of fun, and remembering our successes so that when we go in, we can see how we're protecting that person, and it's a win. And then I thank you for sharing about the referrals, because I was in Louisville recently with John Drennan and his group, and I met a guy on the airplane talking about reaching out and touching people that are, in your space. Ended up doing a presentation, taking them to John's luncheon in Louisville, and I got a referral from them, and he was a gentleman here in Dallas, and so I met with him yesterday, and at 11 o'clock at night, after he'd done all this research, he texted me how excited he is, and he has a radio show and just the potential he sees. And so had I not opened my mouth to that person on the airplane, brought them to a luncheon in Louisville, I would not have met Tom. And so just the power of understanding that what we have is so important. Brielle, you're just so awesome. Thank you so much for your spirit, and thank you, John and Darcy. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Deb. Appreciate it. And just a quick thought in respect to what Deb's sharing here. When I read the greatest personal development book of all time, the Bible, I don't just read it. I take Scripture and I meditate on it so that I can apply it to what God has purposed in my life. And a lot of times we hear that quote, see it, believe it, achieve it. And I liked what Darcy really shared with everybody. Pele, it's not just a see it, believe it, achieve it kind of thing. Do you really understand the see it, take some time, believe it, and then just simply go out and achieve it? And I thought that was a great visual, whether it's Pele, whether it's Jack Nicklaus, or whether it's someone like ourselves in the business that we're in. So, Deb, appreciate it. Great stuff. Real quick, Pennsylvania. Let's go up to the Philly market.
John?
Yeah?
Brielle's going to explain this sheet because this is very important.
Okay, then we'll go to Dave Hughes real quick, and then we'll go up to Marlene and Marv. So, all right, hold on, guys. Brielle,
I'll make it real quick. This is kind of the in front of my presentation binder. It just reminds me of the importance of seeing people telling the story. And if I ever get a no, I always see it as a they don't KNOW, and they always stay in my pipeline because some people get the membership a month later, 2 months later, just you never know. But whenever you do get a no, you can just look at these numbers and remember, wow, I have a whole lot more people to see, a whole lot more yeses to get. So.
Is this what you show when you go for the referrals?
Yeah, and at times when I'm asking for referrals, I'll show them this piece of paper. Here's my goals. These are the number of people that I'm trying to reach. And I kind of laugh sometimes. I know it seems like a lofty goal, but you know what? I'm going for it. If you don't mind helping me and supporting me in this goal, that would be great. Who do you know that could use protection? Back to you, Dan.
Yeah, good. And one other thing that I do in that position too is when I get the referral sheet out, if I see that they're not moving to writing referrals down, I'll look at them and I'll say, you know what, Mr. or Mrs. Prospect, let me ask you a question. Was there anything that I did in this presentation that seemed to be of a high pressure or hard close? They always say no. I say, great. It was more educational, informative, correct? Yes. You saw value, correct? Yes. Well, I just wanted to ask that because my approach would be the exact same way to the referrals that you give me. Informative and educational so that we can alleviate the stresses of people's life like we did with you. Would you give consideration to giving me 5 names? Great. So lead them. You're going to give direction. You're going to lead them in the buying process, the referral process. David Hughes, let's go out to you, sir.
Good morning, everyone. Great webinar, great presentation, Brielle. One of the things I wanted to just compliment really quickly was a lot of the more subtle things Brielle did in the presentation. One of the things they teach you in professional selling is the best way to handle an objection is in your presentation before it ever comes up. And there were several times that Brielle did that with questions. The client hadn't said anything negative, hadn't brought up this objection yet, but she knows it's a common one. So just as an example, she said, would you agree that if you have a real estate issue, it makes sense to speak to a real estate attorney about that? Now, if the person is accepting that concept, they can't come back at the end and tell you that, well, I already have an attorney, because that's obviously only one particular focus. So there are lots of different areas where she did things like that. I loved how you built value in the identity theft portion just by getting a commitment on, as a credit report, is that a valuable tool? Is that important to make sure, that that's accurate and that's beneficial? So I'll be playing it back again to see what else I can catch, and thanks very much.
Repetition's the mother of skill. I'd be playing it again too, and that's why our experiences are so critical, and the journey's always better than the destination. Thanks, Dave. Appreciate that. Let's go to Marlene Corbett. Marlene, go ahead.
That was a great conference call. Thank you.
Oh, Marlene, you're welcome. Thanks for joining us this morning. Let's go back up to the Philadelphia area. Mr. Marv Worthy. Marv?
Brielle, what an outstanding job. You continue to amaze me. I appreciate you so much. A few things I agree with without question, that all the success I've had is because three things have always been in place. One, that you get the buy-in from the owner. Two, always use a consumer folder. And three, you got to know their win. How do I identify the win? When I walk into an organization, I first find out what their mission statement is. Then I find out, well, I make the connection between their mission and our mission. When I introduce that concept in the very beginning and establish a rapport in the beginning in the way that Brielle done so magnificently, is when I've had the most success. I will say this to everyone. When you're doing a group enrollment, you shouldn't use anything else but the consumer folder. My closing rate in a group with the consumer folder compared to anything else has absolutely no comparison. You're talking about 85, 90% close when you use the consumer folder, provided you've done those three things I mentioned in the beginning: the buy-in from the owner, the fact that you understand the mission, you understand what the win is, and lastly, and what I love about Brielle, she is true to what she says. It is a mission, not just a commission. And so for me, it really is about the whole idea of deference. In that appointment, I willfully submit my wills and wishes for the wills and wishes of the client. And so, Brielle, thank you so much for what you poured into us this morning. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Marv. Appreciate the comments. We're going to wrap up real quick with Amy Galando, and then we'll get a couple closing comments from Bob Cohen since we're closing on the hour. So, Amy, great to have you. Go ahead.
Good morning. Thank you, and thank you so much, Brielle. You're fantastic. I did send you a question, but I'm going to go ahead and share it anyway. This training is priceless. Can't tell you how thankful I am. I struggle with memory due to fibromyalgia, and the folder will keep me in line. I have a lot of passion. It will give my focus. It'll keep it lined up with what I'm supposed to be doing, and it'll give me eyes view to keep me focused. And I do thank you. I do appreciate you, and God bless everyone. Thank you. Back to you, John.
Oh, great, Amy. We appreciate that. Amy, something that you brought up, too, and I don't know if it was mentioned, maybe I missed it, but the person that you're presenting to, if they become interested in the opportunity, are going to realize the simplicity of the selling process, and they're going to be able to see themselves doing what you're doing. So this is a very duplicatable process, and we all know duplication is the power to wealth. Let's wrap up with a tremendous leader who's just finishing a West Coast travel schedule, setting the stage for Darcy and I as we head that way. Mr. Bob Cohen.
Oh, thank you so much. Fantastic training, definitely to be listened to and shared, with your associates. And real quick, let me just share some hard examples that we've been out here in the field. We just brought on a brand new insurance broker, extremely coachable, just an incredible guy that researched all the identity theft products out there, and who came up on top, Legal Shield Identity Theft Service. And really, really quick, we met with one of his doctors last week. Doctor has 4 offices, and exactly what we're sharing here: tell me, show me, let me, grow me. Last week, Bob did the presentations. We sat down, we used the consumer folder. What did we do? What was our results? Well, first office, 3 out of 4 signed up. Second office, 3 out of 3 signed up. Third office, 2 out of 2 signed up. Okay, and that was me doing it. And then we did a plan, do, and I like what Miss Debbie George has added. We did a plan, do, improve. Okay, and we talked about each time, what went right, what can we improve and such. Yesterday, we actually finished up our presentations. We met with the 4th office. We had 6 employees, and all 6 signed up. And I I got to just share the reason why this happened. Well, let me back up. Actually, Bob actually did the presentation yesterday. Now it's time for him to, I let him do it, and then I was there to just kind of, add a couple things here and there, but he did a great job, and look at his results. He got 6 out of 6. Now, why was that possible? Because we followed exactly what we're learning here today, this consumer folder presentation. We shared stories. I have a separate little folder where I keep a sample letter from the attorneys. I have a sample motor vehicle ticket, situation. We actually show the Legal Shield member pack. What does the will questionnaire look like? I actually show what the cards look like. I'm very assumptive. When you sign up today, this is what you're going to get in the mail. You're going to have your cards. You're going to have access to the attorneys 24/7. I'm actually showing them, tangible what this service is, because this is an intangible, folks. And the beauty of now, show and tell, just like when we were kids, is now they can actually see it, they can touch it, they can feel it. Finally, we end up with identity theft, and we show a sample medical identity theft story. And I believe all of these are available there over at the Shield Nation. When people go through our training module there, you'll see samples of these that I'm sharing right now that you could absolutely print out and include with your presentation. So that was just a perfect example here, folks. This consumer folder is it. It took us years to develop, with everyone's this. I've never seen somebody fill out as many boxes. This guy was probably 98% of them were filled out. He even had stars in the margin there. Oh my God, this one, this one, this one. And that's the beauty of this, folks, is that first page now gives you your prospect's hot buttons. And then with that information, now when you go into your presentation, what was his hot buttons? Well, he has 4 children. He has no will. And it turned out he just paid $165 to have another attorney write a letter. And he was pretty chapped about that. He was like, that's crazy. And lo and behold, at the very end, folks, all I simply did was I opened up the presentation, and I make a joke out of this. I go, well, here's my big close. What did you like best? And then I zip it up, okay? And whatever the prospect says, I say, absolutely, isn't that the best part? Well, let's go ahead and get you started. And I have my enrollment form right in front of me here, and we start filling it out. And sure enough, Scott here said, let me try it out. Let me just see if it's all that you're saying. Let me start out with the personal plan first. I'm like, Scott, absolutely. We want you to kick the tires. And I always remind people, this is month to month, okay? No one wants to get into a long-term commitment, especially with these crazy cell phones and all that. So please make sure that's part of your repertoire. You're reminding people it's month to month. I literally turn over the enrollment form. I go, here's the fine print. There is none. Okay, we make a joke out of it. And we're just having fun again. We're just showing people what a no-brainer, $29.90, about $1 a day, what a no-brainer this service is. So I hope that helped. We're having fun out here, and can't wait to the Hoffmans that hit the West Coast. I know you guys are going to have some great appointments. Thanks a lot.
I appreciate it. Thanks for all you do. And I don't want to leave Joan Gilchrist hanging by any means because I just passed by her. But, Joan, any quick final comments from you, dear?
Can you hear me, Mr. Hoffman?
We sure can. Go ahead.
Okay, great. No, I had sent a question online because I didn't know if the phone was working for me. But I just had a question regarding the consumer folder. Is that something that you would use at a small luncheon without any, say, audio-visual equipment?
As a you're doing a presentation at a luncheon regarding the membership?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely. Like Marv Worthy said, he uses it at all his, group enrollments. We use it in every situation we're in, so absolutely.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right, fantastic. What a great call. Thanks, Darcy. Thanks, Brielle. Thanks for all the comments. Glad you guys could join in. Again, an amazing Friday morning webinar. Make sure those that couldn't make it, that might be working, that you get them. There's a recorded version. It will be up today that they can go in and see it after hours tonight or this weekend. Make sure that you get your team plugged into this. And let's take advantage of the homework that Darcy laid out by presentations. All right, this week with the consumer folder, and we look forward to your story next week as we dial in from Vancouver, British Columbia. Be blessed, everybody. Let's close February, make it a strong month. Bye-bye.
The organizer has ended the session.